Welcome back to Face Off Around the Culture, the weekly HBCU band recap. I'm your host Horatio.
I'm your host, Vidal.
Hey man, we are deep in the band season, brother. I mean, we damn near at the end. We had some good matchup this week. How'd you feel about the band week and everything that happened this week? We got some good stuff to talk about. What you think about this band week?
Overall, man, you can definitely tell we're at the end of the season, rounding out the year. Things creating a big picture of what this season has been. We've seen many bands progress. Some get better, some get worse, honestly. And I think that this weekend in particular, we really got to see, are you consistent? Are you coming in week to week? Are you taking games off? Those are the questions I felt were answered this weekend, man. Overall, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about how I felt about this weekend with some of these battles, man. I'm not sure yet. With a lot of question marks. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Definitely. All right. Okay. Well, this week, we gotta make sure we have a theme for every week. The theme for this week's show is judge or be judged. Judge or be judged. And when I say judge, I mean give us a product to judge, or you're gonna be judged. All right, and that kind of goes into, especially with the end of the band season. Are we still holding these bands up to a high standard? Are they still holding themselves up to a high standard? And that kind of brings me to our first discussion point, which is: do you think that HBCU bands should be judged or ranked in competition? Because when you were in high school, it was you went to a competition and it was ranked first place. You can say who won this battle, this whole battle, and they'll give you an answer. They won grand champions. And when you get to college, it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? It's based on the opinion of the audience, and I think that allows a lot of these HBCU bands to slack off. So my question for everybody tonight is: do you think that HBCU bands should be ranked as far as this band got first place, this band got second place? And we're going to get into the battle that they're having, the band of the year battle, where they kind of already ranked a lot of bands. So, what do you think about that as far as ranking?
Man, I'm multi opinion about it, man. I think that there's a place for it. I think there's always a place for some judge or some type of regulation to give. It invites people to take a look and want to be invested in the culture, right? So my thinking is, how do I make it right? Get a whole bunch of different judging platforms.
Right.
Just a whole bunch. I really like. I would think oversaturating like the culture with it. Like everybody has a ranking. It gets to a place where not one like ranking institution just has power and starts really driving the band culture in a way, right? Because with this ranking thing, right, I think the worst thing that could possibly happen is bands stop getting creative and they just look to win. They just look to win. And then bands start trying to get a winning formula that maybe not result in more entertaining performances, but you're winning them, right? So I think if you got a whole bunch of different people with rankings and different perspectives and different type of tastes out there, everybody there's value in being better or being number one here or there, and then you can cater to what taste and appeal to the market or whatever you want to call it, your fan base that really likes what you do and what you do best. Because I think, to me at this point, right, band has been going on in this major HBC format for what, 60, 70 years now. I don't think any type of formulation or ranking is gonna push the bands that are already have some notoriety to do more. I don't think that's gonna push them to do more. I think that's for more so the up and coming programs who want to get a name for themselves. What do you think about it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important though, right? Because how do these bands separate themselves? Because it's been based upon opinion. And we talked about this before, especially early in the season. When you rank HBCU bands, it's kind of based about where you're from, how your own musical background, you know what I'm saying, your own experiences, where you went to school at, and that plays a big part of it. But I do think it would put some. I disagree with what you said. I do think it puts a fire under these big bands because when you say this band won, right, and you're considered a top tier band, now your audience, everybody's looking at you like, well, why didn't y'all win? Y'all not historically a top tier band. So I think that it will push a lot of these bands, and I like that ESPN or whoever's doing the band of the year thing is doing it with two divisions because that is important. It's harder to rank different bands at the same level when every band is not the same. So we're going to get into those rankings towards the end of the episode. But I just wanted to get it in our minds. Ranking HBCU bands, like who gets to decide what is what? You know what I'm saying? Like after a couple of years after you leave your HBCU, do you still have that bias that makes you want to pick your band more? It's a bunch of different questions, but we'll get into that a little bit more. Okay. But going back to our topic, judge or be judged, I want to put out a public shaming of Bethune-Cookman. I think Bethune-Cookman should be publicly shamed because, we're going to go ahead and get right into it. The Florida Classic was this past weekend. Mm-hmm. First of all, the vibe of the Florida Classic looks amazing. I mean, it looks like so many beautiful women out there. I'm sure the weather's great. It just looks like a great environment. I don't think the Florida Classic is the best environment for band heads. We haven't really got a good band battle from the Florida Classic in a long time. I think it's just based on the school rivalries more than anything. What is going on with Bethune-Cookman, bro? Ever since Bethune-Cookman has joined the SWAC, I haven't seen any battles with them at all. And this is what we're talking about. We're talking about our topic. Judge or be judged. Put out a product. I feel like Bethune uses their size and they use their clout in the band world to carry on their legacy, and that is annoying, yo. I think we should publicly shame them because they're not competing. And if you're going to be a top tier band, Bethune cannot continue to move in this mindset, yo. It is not going to work. FAMU did a fantastic job at the Florida Classic, bro. Fantastic. I'm really loving FAMU this year, man. They really are stepping out there, talking about competing, putting themselves out there, really doing a good job. They didn't have a fifth because I'm guessing Bethune left. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I watched the fifth of just FAMU playing. Fantastic. So what do you think about the Florida Classic? What do you think about Bethune-Cookman this year, tucking their tail, not battling nobody, not coming outside? I don't know what's going on. I need Bethune to compete. What you think?
Man, to me, Bethune just quit, man. I like as soon as they joined the SWAC, we just quit. I remember discussions being had about like how Bethune and Florida A&M coming to the SWAC would change their band programs. A lot of people will argue that, that would motivate Bethune to do something different. You will actually see Bethune's power and you will see the superiority of the band program. And a lot of pressure was on FAMU as well with this change. I will say I really love what FAMU has done because I feel like FAMU holds to their tradition, but they are not stubborn and they don't listen to the fans, man. They give FAMU the best FAMU that they possibly can, that they currently have, and also they're open to expanding to create something different. Bethune has just been in the dark. Like I don't know. We see them a little smaller this year. They're not really playing against anybody. Mm-hmm. Even when Southern showed up to them, there was really no type of engagement. Florida Classic, FAMU stayed, right? There was really no type of engagement. So you got to wonder what is the push and drive and the motive behind that program other than just, be at football games. And if that's what they want to be, just be at the football game, support the team, I'm just going to stop talking about them. To be honest, that's because they're as a fan of the band, like they're not moving no needles. They're not pushing no needles.
Right.
Not moving the culture forward. They're not really doing anything pushing music in general because we have a lot of band programs that are giving you what Bethune is known to give you: good balance, hearing all the parts,
Right.
good wall of sound, consistent wall of sound. We get that from Jackson State and some that makes you groove too with some crank on it. And we get into cleanliness from FAMU. So what Bethune is delivering now, outside of, I didn't even want to watch a Bethune field show because even after looking at last season, I remember we was getting on Bethune because they did the same show at the beginning of the season, at the end of the season. I remember that.
Yeah.
Anyway, man, it's going wild. So all the while I remember like something was going on with the school. Last year, I hope everything's okay and well with that. But as far as like pushing drive, taking initiative, moving things forward, like from the simple concept of artistry, like trying to do something, be creative, putting your art out there, because that's what music is, right? It's just not happening there, man. So, I'm not even really for shame.
Right.
Like, I'm with you.
Yeah. And I've seen like they this past weekend they did the field show and they put "Damn You" on the field. And I saw a lot of people talk about that, but that's for the non-band heads. Like the non-band heads are gonna look at that and be like, "Wow, they dissed them." I saw a lot on Instagram. But for the people who really know band, bro, Bethune has been lacking, yo. And I mean lacking in their own bag. Their bag. They haven't been even good in their bag, which is like, if you can't even be good, okay, we haven't seen innovative stuff from Bethune in a while. All right, cool. We kind of already accepted that a couple years ago. But the fact that they're not even doing what they're known to do well, it's like, what is going on? Like, and so it's like, again, like you said, they're not pushing the culture forward, and it makes me want to not talk about Bethune. So I just want to talk about that. Just that, in order to be considered a top tier band, you got to keep pushing and keep moving. And like you said, we're hearing stuff from bands that we would only get from Bethune, like an Alabama A&M. Let's transition into Valley, Mississippi Valley versus Alabama A&M. Okay, so this battle is at Alabama A&M. First of all, Valley, when I first saw the band, I'm like, yo, they look way smaller, right? Looked in the comments, and then it said that one of their buses caught a flat tire. Now, I was a little, we talked about this a couple weeks ago with the band lies. I didn't know that was a band lie. This ain't our whole band, but a lot of people with the same story. Right. So a lot of people with the same story, it is what it is. A&M started off with, I don't know the song name, but it was really good energy. Sounded really 90s. Good way to start off a battle. All right. I like Valley's song "Better to Start." So I feel like for me, it was Valley up one. All right. A&M played a ballad second round. I thought was great balance, and I feel like they won that second round. Now, the third round for A&M and Valley, I had A&M but win by a small hair. I think that Valley had a lot of better song choices, but the execution was bad. It was All Mine by Mississippi Valley, and it was a good song choice. It was the arrangement was real choppy. It was kind of childish to me, the arrangement. But and then towards the end of the battle, Valley started running out of material. They started playing September songs. So what do you think about this battle? And then coming up, I have a new song to add on the Don't playlist. But what you got about this battle?
Man, so this battle made me really think about a lot, right? To get like a subcategory that I would like us to do is unwritten band rules. What are the unwritten band rules? And the major thing, right?
Okay.
Written band rule is you don't let the away band stay in your stadium and play. But doesn't matter if they sound really bad. Because it's still if they sound bad, right? Because to me, right, this battle was very hard to judge, and I'm gonna tell you why. I had with the first 3 rounds, I'm with you whole completely. The 4th and 5th round, right? As we start nearing towards the end of the battle. To me, the execution on both ends was not that great. I think that I had to start really pushing in my mind to almost start making excuses for him. When I start going that deep and try to figure out what the difference in execution, I think it's an issue. I'm like, yo, Valley's been playing these songs all year. They should be executed better, but they caught a flat tire, so I don't know what to do. A&M, they're not really playing new material though. But so I'm like, I don't know. People got jackets on outside. Is it cold? Like that's just when it started having my brain go all over the place. Now, overall, I think both of these bands just could have put on a better performance from what we've already seen from them earlier in this season, right? I think looking at A&M, they haven't been quite the same to me ever since the Jackson game. And I think Valley's best showing was the Alcorn game, right? I feel, and it just really made me think about how, going back to should these bands be judged or not, right? How would I rank these bands this year? I'm not sure. A&M has really given me a big question mark because it's hard for me to give them this W here. I can't say like I have them winning, but I can't say just Valley took it. So it's just a really big question mark for me on this one. It made me think like, okay, is A&M like a top 6 in the SWAC, not even overall program? Because like, shoot, I had Alabama State beating them. I had FAMU beating them. They already lost to Jackson. I don't have them beating Southern just with off song selection alone and with execution. So like that's 5 off the top. I think the best matchups for me to like figure that out is one, we got a I want to say poor man's, but we didn't see Valley at their best. And I think they're not as good as Alcorn this year, even with Alcorn at a smaller size. But they still have a good sound, right? So it really just pushed those things on top of each other for me. Now, back to this overall battle, right? This was just hard to put. Not very entertaining to watch from both bands. And if I had to give a winner, I would have to give it to Val. I would have to.
Really?
Entertainment of the song selections, because I feel like the execution was poor on each side, and I feel like even though A&M had like a smidget better of execution, and to me a smidget better of execution than Valley, it did not make up for the overall feeling and presence that Valley had.
I agree. I give it to A&M just because they sounded better. Valley was more entertaining, and you're right, they had better song selection. But something I want A&M to digest and not get mad when we say this, A&M has a tendency to be on the boring side. And I don't know if that is arrangements or song selection. You know, we talked about this before. When you have old band directors, possibly, and their own, opinion of music is driving what the band is playing. So I don't know if it's better song selection. But A&M sounds great, though, man. So I'm gonna give it to A&M. But like you said, when you start making excuses like, well, maybe it is cold, or you start like when you start giving it to the bands, that's how you know, like, okay, maybe this isn't the best battle. So that's something that we're talking when we're talking about judging bands. We're judging you guys all the way to the end. You know what I'm saying? We're not gonna. It don't matter if it's cold. We done have plenty of games where it's freezing cold. We can't feel our hands, and you want that, but it doesn't matter. All right. Going back to the what you said about the unwritten rules, right? I think you should play the band all the way out, even if they sound bad, because what you don't want to do is, we know that we're playing to 2 different crowds. We're playing to the band heads and we're playing to just the people that come to the game, right? You don't want the people that came to the game that is not in it with the band, like going back and forth with the songs or whatever. You don't want to be like, oh, I mean, the band marched out. You don't want that appearance of a loss. You don't want none of that, right? Now, with band heads, we know, like the game with Jackson State, was it Jackson State and Southern? Yeah, last week, Jackson State got out the stands like maybe like 2 or 3 songs earlier, but we knew that Jackson won. The bandheads knew because it was a bandhead event. We know that. But at a game, I say play them all the way, just to make it look good, just for everything. You don't want you don't need nothing from that, especially if it's your home stadium. Um, Back to to this battle and the don't play list. I think we may have talked about this before, but Black and Blues by Al Jarreau is making its way back on the do not play list. Everybody played that song in high school. I don't care any. I don't think that there's not one HBCU band member or high step band member, even in high school, that has not played that song. You played if you marched in a high step band between high school and college, you played that song sometime. It's just one of those songs where everybody has a comparison. I don't think, okay, you want to play it in a parade, you want to play it in a zero, cool. But when we're talking about innovating and moving forward, all right, Black and Blues is one of them songs that we know how it goes. We know the run is coming. You know what I'm saying? We know it. Let's let it go. Anything about that song or anything we just said before we move on?
Shout out to Black and Blues, yo. Black and Blues was one of the first marching band songs I ever learned. Shout out to Al Jarreau. Shout out to Black and Blues. Shout out to all the classic songs. Shoot, we got another. We're gonna talk about this. I'm gonna spoil a little bit, but Alcorn played Getaway, right? I'm gonna put my ticket in now. Earth, Wind, and Fire. It is the greatest group for HBCU bands. Followed by Cameo, just because of that.
Just because of that, right?
Yes.
Because everybody plays net. No, you're right. Yeah, Earth, Wind, and Fire is one of the ones too. We gotta think. Okay, we need to make a separate list about that. Like, okay, we got Earth, Wind, and Fire. We got Cameo. We gotta keep adding to that list and keep adding to the do not play list too. All right. Well, look, man. Let's go ahead and move on, man. It wasn't too many battles this week. We tried to find fifths for Texas Southern and UAPB, couldn't find it, or Alabama State, UAPB, couldn't find it. So the last battle of this week is Jackson State versus Alcorn, the Soul Bowl. Now, we've been on Jackson this whole year. Jackson has been demolishing a lot of their competition this year. Probably band of the year. We talked about it. So, what were your expectations coming into this battle before we actually get into it?
Okay, so I have two sets because I played Alcorn before, so I know kind of like the environment, what's going on around this time of the year. So, end of the season, people, one, ready to be done. Two, Jackson State has already had a great season. And three, there have been times where Jackson State has had great seasons and decided to take this game off because they're looking at their work in the season and look at the current state of Alcorn and was like, we really don't need to do nothing, man. We come out here a couple songs, we be all right. We get on the buses. We got jazz band concerts this week, symphonic band concerts, all that stuff going on. And we got Thanksgiving in a couple days. We gonna chill out. This was not that, right? So I think Jackson State, they was like, we gonna play until the end of the season, and we gonna keep bringing something good every week. I think, to me, this is like, 4 weeks in a row, to me, that Jackson State has had a song that is worthy of big conversation. With other bands, we really have not seen that too much of, or like really out of anybody that stands out like that. Alcorn, on the other side, right? Alcorn didn't see too many bands this year. I feel like Alcorn has had a season where they were smaller, but what they did was just truly them, and they did it well. It was one of those things. They were themselves, and they did it well. And what is your band going to do to compete with that? And what are people's opinion of it? Because I think that despite all the battles that Alcorn has performed in, right, whether you have them winning or losing, they've been entertaining to some degree, right? So I think that's something worthy. Going in, you can start with the recap. So this is my ideas coming into it, like battle of how we're going to end our seasons off. Are we gonna stay consistent? Or are we gonna be like Lester?
Yeah. First of all, I love you, man, because you just explained that so well, like how I literally thought about that. Like, I love that we can have these battles and we can give, like, even though I don't think we thought that Alcorn would win this battle or won this battle, that we can see the difference and we can see when the band is being entertained and when the band is being good, even if they're losing. Alcorn did a great job in this battle. Like you said, I think Alcorn did a good job this season with remaining themselves.
Mhm.
This season was a good season for them to build upon for next season. Really, like to really have a good base, stuff like that. So I'm excited to see what they do. All right, going down the list. Alcorn starts off with a fast-paced song. Good song to start. I mean, good song. Okay, but to me, in I feel like they just how we talk about A&M. We talk about A&M has that boring thing. Alcorn has that a little bit too, but it's too much crank all the time. Like, they really need some more exclamation points. I think like that'll take them to the next level as far as their arrangements. You know what's crazy, bro? In 2017, we did Honda, right? And Honda, you go meet with the other people, right? And Alcorn, so we're talking to this dude at the hotel, and this dude tells me, we have like a band conversation. And he tells me, like, yeah, man, that's the problem with us, bro. It's our arrangements. He kept saying that all the time from all he do from Alcorn. And we just had like a great conversation. So every time I think about Alcorn, I think about him saying that. Because that was so true. He was like, man, we are a great program. The only problem with us is our arrangements. So every time I always think about that, I go back to that conversation I had with that guy. But Jackson State started off with Dirty Diana. Now here's what we're talking about when we say energy, all right? That's how you start off a battle. Great energy. I've never heard Jackson State play that song before. They probably have, but I've never heard it. Great trumpets, great energy. It brought the crowd in. It's a normal song for a band to play, but you want to hear the way they're going to do it, and that's what made that version so good. So shout out to Jackson State. Up one round. Alcorn, great song selection. The next round, they come back with "When I See You" by Fantasia. That song. It's a lot of the songs like that love song by Keisha Cole, "When I See You" by Fantasia, that have been coming a lot more popular on social media. Perfect song choice. The only problem, going back to the dude at the hotel, basic arrangement. That arrangement, good song choice, but that arrangement cannot match with the Dirty Diana that they just played and then the song that Jackson's going to play. All right? But either way, good song choice by Alcorn. Next song, I don't know the name of the song, but Jackson played a power group. Now, this is the only round I gave Alcorn a round in this battle, and I gave them this round. I heard people talking about Alcorn playing Getaway. I thought it was great. I remember I was watching it, and I went to the bathroom, so I'm still listening to it. And I'm like, oh, that's Getaway, right? I come back, I'm like, yo, this sounds great. Jackson's response to that was more of a power groove, but I feel like they took a round in that. I feel like the Getaway was good. I feel like it was clean. I'm like, yo, this is something that I want to see. This is the type of style I want Alcorn to be having and to give. So I gave him that round. What you think about that halfway through the battle, and then we can continue?
Yeah, I'm whole with you. I think the song selection up to that point was good. I think the song you was talking about that Jack State plays is it's a Keith Sweat joint. They played it at a boombox. So I'm right with you on that one. I think the execution for both bands was really good. Let me talk about Dirty Diana, man. When the first thing I seen opening YouTube, I see Jackson State, Dirty Diana, and I sat there like, what is this about to be? Because me being from Virginia native, I grew up on Nova State. When I think Dirty Diana, I think NSU, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, like I'm not even from a conscious place. I'm really comparing the two. I love the fact that their arrangement was so different. And I listened to it. I've listened to this arrangement about 7 times. Not because I'm so in love with it. I just, be honest, I don't know how I feel about it. Not even in a bad way. I'm just like, this is very unique. This is different. It's a lot of different stuff in here.
Right.
I don't think, to be honest, I don't want to ever hear it again, but not in a bad way. I just think is that just obscure. I just think it's like that obscure. Yeah. Where if I were to compare the two, I said like this. Do I think this version is a better version than Norfolk State's version? No. Do I
Mm-hmm.
feel like Jackson's, if played head to head, Jackson's arrangement will win?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think like that's the only way I really know how to put it. Just from an
Mm-hmm.
entertainment value, there's more energy, excitement. There's a lot of substance in there, a lot of different colors and stuff going on. Halfway through this battle, I didn't have Alcorn taking it, but I think that the song choice was great. To me, When I See You is like probably one of the top 5 like R&B songs ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like with that and the placement of it, I think with the way they executed and the arrangement, they could have had, that was a moment to just like take the crowd. And
Yeah.
Alcorn has been, I've been on the receiving end of this.
Mm-hmm.
Alcorn can take the crowd at you in your home stadium. It's happened to me in 2015. They played God Got a Blessing. So it's possible, right? So I'm going in there. It's possible for that. And I think that song selection had the power and choice by the title itself to do that. But I think it just didn't really hit like it was supposed to. And I think that Jackson responded with, it just had a lot more feeling to it.
Mm-hmm. Did they take the crowd or did God take the crowd? Okay.
I don't know. You're Mississippi Bible. He's like, come on, you Mississippi.
Hey, right.
You never.
Yeah, but I misspoke.
Mm-hmm.
Alcorn played Getaway,
Yeah.
and Jackson State played I Like Your Smile. That's the round I thought that Alcorn won. Okay, so the next round, Alcorn tries to crank it up, and here is where you lose. And we talked about this with, was it Texas Southern? It's like you have to really know who you're playing and how to play, right? You're not going to out Craig Jackson. So what you need to do is try to get the crowd, like you said. To me, the next thing would have should have been a God's Got a Blessing type of song. They went crank. Jackson went cranker. They played Water, which is, I mean, a great arrangement, a great, and that was good. It was maybe 2 rounds after that. I think Jackson took both rounds. Jackson ended on Happy Feelings, recognizing the seniors, which is like what they do every year. So I thought that was great. But going back to Jackson playing Dirty Diana, I thought the ending was great. To me, the ending really set off the energy and kept it going. Any other? I mean, of course, I give the battle to Jackson. Good job, Alcorn. I think Alcorn really represented themselves very well. Any closing remarks on this battle?
Shout out to both programs. I like the last rap tune Jackson played. Had the student arranger come up for the last game too.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was pretty dope. That's the first time I've seen student conductor their own arrangement at Jackson State. So
right.
Big shout out to him, whoever that was. I enjoyed the arrangement as well. I think the band played it great too.
Definitely. All right.
Alcorn.
Okay. All right. Well, we can get into some predictions for next week. It's not that many games. Towards the end, it's we got the Bayou Classic, Southern versus Grambling. I'm very excited to see that, man. I'm very excited to see Grambling because Southern. If you know what's the problem, though, Southern's really going to show out in this battle, and that's going to be the problem. That's going to be the problem because Southern has got a lot of critique this year.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan Heyman just came out, you know what I'm saying, with a book. So that's like more press that's not really band related or music related. You said what?
He came out with a book?
Yeah, he came out with a book called Jute, basically discussing his whole, time, I guess the allegations about the money and stuff like that. Which is right, like it makes me like, I don't know, I want to read it. I hope, in that book, he doesn't set himself up as to like Southern wanted to get rid of Nathan Hammer. Obviously, the band under his direction was fantastic, and it was a good time. I don't think that the staff wanted to, who wants to get rid of a good thing that they have going?
Right.
Anyway, Southern versus Grambling this year. I'm excited to see that. Of course, I'm giving it to Southern, but I'm excited to see what Grambling does, man. Grambling, really, this is a time, Grambling. Look at me, bro. Grambling. It's a time to catch them off For real, man. Because last year we talked about the Bike Classic, and Grambling did a great job. I mean, Grambling has been improving over the past 3-4 years. So I'm excited to see this battle. And the next battle we have is Tuskegee versus Alabama State. Of course, I'm giving it to Alabama State. If that happens, Alabama State is going to go crazy. What you think about those two battles? Bayou Classic, Tuskegee versus Alabama State.
Man, look, Bayou Grambling, I need a hit. I don't even need you to win. I need a hit.
You need one hit.
Give me one hit. Give me one hit. Because Grambling has had like a great terrible season. I feel like they have had improvement of sound. Game to game, you can see details are getting better, but they just haven't really taken the cake and won anything because to me they haven't had anything that really engulfs you and takes you in.
Right.
This is the place, the perfect format. The cover's going to be there. Give me a hit, and I feel like you could put a whole new outlook on the program heading into the season and what you guys have done for the previous games in the season. Did you still want to touch on these ESPN?
Yes. Yeah. I want to go ahead and get into that because obviously the theme of the show is rankings. Should HBCU bands be ranked? And I think that this is a great thing that ESPN is doing. I wish that they would, ESPN hit up FaceOff, bro. We need to be ones that are in conjunction with making this list because we're actually, in the trenches every single week of band culture. But let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna do Division 2, since these are the bands that we talk about, I guess the least. In auxiliary, they have Virginia State being 1, Morehouse being 2, Winston being 3. All right. In drum major, they have Savannah State being 1, Florida Memorial being 2, Virginia State being 3. Now, before we continue, again, let's talk about how good it is that these smaller programs are being showcased on this level to be judged. You know what I'm saying? Because they are putting out good products. Percussion rankings, they have Virginia State. Virginia State is killing it in these rankings. Number 1, Winston number 2, Shaw number 3, Virginia Union number 4. Drill, they have Central State number 1, Savannah State number 2, Kentucky State number 3, and Florida Memorial number 4. In musicality, they have Florida Memorial number 1, Winston State number 2, Morehouse number 3, and Tuskegee. What is your opinion about this Division 2 list and just the band rankings that ESPN has put up?
Number 1, so this is what I talk about, like it being a good thing for people getting into the culture, being into the as an entryway point. Because when I see the list and I see Virginia State number 1, Florida Memorial number 1, the first thing, even as a seasoned band head, first thing I go is let me go look at these programs.
Right.
And I think that in itself makes it a good thing. Just that in itself. Because what I like about the band culture, right? We have a lot of pride in our programs and what we put out there, and we have a pride in the overall culture. And I think it's set up to a point where an entity like ESPN can come in and deliver things, but it's not going to have the ability to just overtake and take over. So I just think that we just have a lot of pride in what we do, and we realize that there's a lot of intangibles and things that are difficult to judge. That makes that thing still a palatable thing, but not something that's going to dominate the culture, where you're going to have people saying like, oh, we was number 1 in ESPN, though, but like, we can't deny that 5th you got cranked on. Like, we going to hold you to that. Balance. So that's what I appreciate about it. Overall, I think it's a good thing. I do want to have more knowledge about how it's put together. I think that when anything's just new, especially with how we feel about our culture, what's the word I'm looking for? When someone has like the right to say something or reputation, when someone, right. Not the right, but like their opinion is reputable or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it started.
But what I will say, the overall rankings for the Division Two is Savannah State number 1, Virginia State number 2, Florida Boy number 3, Winston number 4. I don't like that. I don't think Savannah State is better than Virginia State on that level. I know that they're going off of their ranks and based on their own individual categories. But like you said, I think that something that is good for the band world is not only this, but because bands, that's why we do this podcast to expose band culture and like that. And bands want validation from the band heads as well as they want from the ESPNs, these big type of networks companies. So it's good, like you said, where they can get the validation from this, and we also can say, hey, you got cranked on that fit. Chill out. I don't really agree with the Savannah State being number 1. I feel like Virginia State should have been number 1, or Morehouse should be a little bit higher. But shout out to these rankings. I mean, they're not that far off. Now let's get into Division 1. All right, auxiliary rankings. So it's just dances, flags, major stuff like that. Southern number 1, Norfolk State number 2, Jackson State number 3. First of all, great list, great listing. I don't really pay attention to the dance too much, so we'll see. Drum major rankings: Tennessee State number 1, Southern number 2, Jackson State number 3, Prairie View number 4, Florida A&M number 5, Norfolk State number 6. Musicality: Jackson State number 1, North Carolina A&T number 2, Hampton number 3 over Southern, and that's what it's like. Who is making these? Come on now, who's making these? Hampton over Southern. Southern has had a weird year, but come on now. Come on. We watched that battle with Hampton and A&T. Come on. Nah. Percussion rankings: Texas Southern number 1, North Carolina A&T number 2, Prairie View number 3, and Hampton number 4. And design drills: FAMU number 1. I agree with that. PV number 2, Jackson State number 3, A&T number 4. Now, overall, they gave Jackson State number 1. If you did not do that, we couldn't even talk about this list. The list wouldn't be valuable because it is so clear that Jackson State is the band of the year. So great job on that. 2 being Prairie View. I don't know. 3 A&T. I don't know. A&T had that really good performance last week, but that's the best thing A&T's done this year. I would say the only good thing A&T's really done this year is that battle. They didn't really give it to nobody. Tennessee State took an L against Norfolk, so why are they number 4? You know what I'm saying? So this is what we talk about when we talk about rankings. Who was qualified to do the rankings? But overall, I'm excited for this type of list. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm more excited. I definitely have some different opinions about the rankings of the list. I'm not gonna go through all of it right now, but what really stands out to me is what they have Prairie View at number 2.
Yeah,
I was like, I can see it. I wouldn't know. I wouldn't say I would do it, but I can see it, right? And then someone mentioned it's based off field shows, right? And even off field shows, like I can see, but I think that we have a holistic culture, man. You can't just have one without the other. You can't just be the band of the year, because I think if it was just completely based off field shows, right, I think you would undermine a lot of the work that these bands do on a week in, week out basis. And the reason I say is like when you have a band program that is in a competitive environment for the stands, your workload on a week-to-week basis and what your rehearsal looks like is completely different from bands that don't. Just strictly off time. Just period, right? If you a band that's getting watched every week for the field shows and the stands, you cannot afford to slack off. Or even then, if you have bands that you're going away to and that's coming to you week in and week out, you don't get that same time slot to put in a full pack field show as another band would that doesn't have HBCU opponents that want to take the field every week. So taking to that account and the great performances that we have on the stand in the stand portion, that just kind of goes into like this age-old thing. It's like the field show is more important than the stands more so important.
Yep.
It's like I'm not about to I'm not about to sit here and argue with nobody about what part of marching band culture that you like and love and that you feel is more important. I know what I like though. I like the stage. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the stage.
Well, if we're talking about the field show, what field show did Jackson and Prairie View do that was so like great? That's what I'm saying. Like you can't cut and pick. You have to look at the whole thing. So shout out to ESPN. Next year we're gonna be doing the ESPN list or whatever because I think we can do a better job with the full thing. Shout out to South Carolina State for getting this list. I've been saying South Carolina State is having a great year. Y'all been sleeping on South Carolina State. They made the list. They were number 9. But yeah, I mean, good list. The event is on Friday, December 12th. So that should be good to see. HBCU National Champion. We'll probably be back to talk about that. But we appreciate you guys for listening, man. I mean, we had a great season. We still have a few more episodes in the tank for this season. But yes, going back to the topic, which is judge or be judged, which in totality is us talking about these programs putting something out to be judged, right? And us, you know what I'm saying, based on everything we talked about last week as far as the arrangements, all these things, being able to really get a good, a judgment on these bands, a good call about where these programs are going. Like we talked about Bethune earlier, as far as we don't think that Bethune is really moving forward, pushing the culture forward, and that is making us give Bethune a public shaming. I'm bringing all this back up because I want you guys to remember when shaming Bethune. That's what I know what the theme is, but we're really getting on Bethune today based off of their actions not moving and not innovating. So we are here to really call that out. So we appreciate you guys again. We'll be back next week. Make sure you follow It's a FaceOff on all social platforms. You can follow me on all social media at Horatio Radio. Follow the Crank Up HBCU Band podcast page on YouTube where we do the lives and we do reviews of the battles. Like I said, we'll be back next week. Manny, anything?
Man, shout out to everybody. Thank you for a great episode, my brother. I will say to the fans, let us know what you want from like a little season. Anything? Do you want some superlatives? Do you want our rankings for the year? Stand rankings of the year? Reach out to FaceOff. Go on the social media platforms. Let us know what type of things you want to cap the year off and really put an exclamation point on this season we had. These bands had a great season. We've been having a great season with y'all. So let's do a little send-off.
Definitely. All right, guys. We appreciate you. We'll be back right here next week. Definitely. Y'all have a good week.